Hignet's corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central. For David Dunn! David Dunn equalises! It just had to be! Dack's corner and it goes. Glance towards goal! And Rovers have taken the lead! And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Good evening, Rovers fans, and welcome to the post-match review. Has your heart rate come down yet? Because mine hasn't. Bloody hell. The true Rovers way that I think Alex was alluding to on the pre-match stream earlier. Your name was mud, mate, for about, 10 minutes? So you are a relieved man that didn't end 2-2, but Rovers got the job done in the true Rovers way, and credit to Barnsley today for the way that they played. So come and join us. Let's dissect the game. Let's see where it went good and bad for Rovers today. The main thing is we got the 3 points, and it's 7 points from the week. It's actually 11 points from 15 available in the last 5 games. So really good return for Rovers. But before we start, we are, of course, sponsored by 6yardsout.com.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.
Just a reminder to everybody that 6 Yards Out have got a good Black Friday deal on this weekend. If you buy 2 mugs, you get a third free. So if you've not got your Christmas presents, check them out. You might be able to get 3 Rovers mugs, or if you've got people of other persuasions, then you can mix and match on the website. So go and check them out. I'm delighted to be joined by Jacob and Alex again. How are you, Jacob?
Not too bad, thank you. I'm on the controls again, so hopefully this goes a bit smoother than last time.
You are on the controls. And Ollie James, the flag is up. It needs to go a bit higher. Yeah, it needs to go a bit higher, I think. So when I've got a bit more DIY available, I will get the flag higher. But the flag is there. That was the one that I got from Doncaster away, so it's a nice flag. Alex, how are you, mate?
Oh, God. I didn't think I was going to be showing my face. At one point, I thought I'd be kicked off these live streams forever. But no, thankfully, my place has been retained with Rovers hanging on at the end. But there you go. Just really big 3 points, really pleased, really glad to be wrong, as I always am. And what a relief.
And delighted to have Glenn from Rovers Chat here. Glenn, is this your first post-match stream?
It is my first post-match, yes. So lucky to get a winning game. So that's good.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
You're a debutant, and we're looking forward to having your smile and positivity on here, Glenn. So obviously easier after a victory for Rovers. So Rovers fans, if you are not following us on Twitter, it is Rovers_chat. And for those of you who aren't subscribed to our YouTube channel, I say it every time. So why the hell are you not subscribed to our YouTube channel? It's Rovers Chat. Stay up to date with all of our content, including all of the pre and post-match live streams. And of course, please do interact with us throughout tonight. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know how that game was for you. And as we dissect the game, please, of course, do give us your comments. So before we do go into the game, I'm going to just pick up some of the comments that we have had. Michael Pearson, is it safe to come out from behind the sofa now? Yes, it is, Michael. We're all good. Stephen Thompson, hard-earned 3 points today. Armstrong lethal. Yeah, he was. The timing of that goal was critical, and the finish was clinical as well. So that was good. Blue tack for the win. Yeah, Ollie, I'll get some blue tack or something on that flag. Luke, thought Lomax had us destined for a Desmond for a 2-2. Yeah, so did I, Luke. Alex surely could feel all of the daggers from every single Rovers Chat subscriber earlier, so at least he can show his face. And then Alexander Haben, relieved. Yes, I am relieved as well, Alex. So, Glenn, as you are our debutant, I'm going to come to you first, just with the first question. Was the result a fair result? And just give us a few sentences on the game and what you thought.
I'm pleased to say I don't think it was a fair result at all. I think first half we got absolutely battered by Barnsley. There's no two ways about it. I think we already mentioned about the Armstrong goal was key. I think, a draw would probably be an fair result. It would have been absolutely gutting to concede at the end, but I think overall, I think we've won 3 points there rather than earned them, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And Barfly coach wouldn't be Rovers without the panic. Absolutely. And I love this name, Bum Gravy 123. What a brilliant name. Weathered the storm, stay calm, and was clinical. And Michael Pearson, win when playing form equals promotion form. Yes, it does. Mm-hmm. So let's hope we've got more of those. Jacob, summarise your thoughts on the game, mate. Did you think it was a fair result?
No, but I can only wholeheartedly agree with what Michael Pearson just said then. These are the type of games that you need to be winning on paper, and to win when we were playing so poor in that first half, it was worse than the first half at Luton last week, in my opinion, the first half. But obviously, we just got very lucky with the fact that Adam Armstrong put his shot away, and Ryan Nyembe was superb getting past his man to put it into him. But no, like you said, that is promotion form. We need to be winning this game, and playing so poor, it's just really good to see a win. But no, I did obviously make it a bit nervy there, conceding at the end.
Yeah, it did. And Alex, we spoke about pre-match that we thought the game would go two ways from a Barnsley perspective. Either they would press us really high and try and play their game, or they would struggle in sitting back and trying to contain us. What we saw from Barnsley was, particularly first half, a really effective high press that we struggled to deal with, really. Can Barnsley feel hard done by in this game, how they've acquitted themselves and coming out with a 2-1 defeat?
Absolutely. I think a draw would have been a fair result today. But I think you look back at the course of this season and there's games where we've been beaten when I think we've been the better team. You know, you look back to Watford, where I thought we were really hard done by. You look at Bournemouth the first day of the season, we shouldn't have lost there either. Even Newcastle in the League Cup, we were robbed there as well. So I think it's about time we won ugly. It's about time we got back to winning ugly, to be quite frank. I think this season we've kind of gained the reputation of being flat track bullies. We only win when everything's going well, going smoothly, and we're winning 3 or 4-0 every time we win. So I think it's really good that we've managed to grind out a win. And I think it probably bodes well for the rest of this season. If we can mix those convincing wins that we have been showing every so often with those grinding out results in between, which is what you need to do to put a good run together. So yeah, not a fair result today, especially in the first half. We were terrible, but obviously the 3 points is all that matters at the end of the day.
And certainly when the game finished, I tweeted off my own account that that was probably the most enjoyable win for me today. We've had the 4-0s and 5-0s, yeah, but actually to do it in those circumstances today, there's an air of satisfaction there. And yes, as much as they've put us through the ringer in the last 5 minutes, we come away from this game feeling really good, actually. So nice that we've coped with that. Just to dip back into the comments again, Sean Fox, shocking first half and really nervy last 10 to 15 minutes, but good teams win games in challenging conditions, and that's what we did today. Absolutely, we did. Then we've also had Ollie James. We didn't play great, but sign of a good team grinding out a result like that. How good was the Namibian Cafu? That assist is what we've been missing from his game. Hashtag wrap him up in bubble wrap. Yeah, that moment in the first half when he went down holding his leg, I was like, please, no, not after we've just covered that in detail on the pre-match. Simon Child, Barnsley's pressing of the fullbacks exposed their unease in possession. Once we went more direct, we found the blueprint to win. Yeah, Andy Simcox, the Barnsley fan who we spoke to, said that that's where they like to press, and that's how it turned out. And I think, Alex, you've put in our group chat on the Rovers Chat page that Bell and Nyembe was struggling a little bit with that press. So, yeah, we did see that. Chris Hayes, pretty terrible performance, but these are the wins that matter the most. Last season, we would have lost that. Yeah, And if you just look at the overall record at Ewood Park over the last couple of years since we've been back in the Championship, we've had teams leaving Ewood Park with a point or 3 points. So, nice to have that one as a victory rather than dropping points. Alexander Haben got to be able to grind out the victories sometimes. Ryan Lambert was nice to see us win a game we shouldn't have many a time we've been on the receiving end. So, Glenn, I'm going to come to you just as we unpick some of the players in detail, if we can then. Who stood out to you today, someone who played well and had a really good game?
I think I have to start with Kaminsky. I think he had two big points in the game, 2 massive saves at key times as well. I think that first one in the first time, I didn't actually think he'd saved it the first time I saw it. And then on the replay, you see he does get a touch on it. And the one in the second half is just, it's a fantastic kind of reflex save at his back post. I think is a big difference is Kaminsky. We mentioned before, but just having somebody that has a bit of like a presence in the box. The ball comes in, you expect him to come take it. I was a massive critic of Wharton last season, and Wharton's probably got a good foot in height on Kaminsky, but he never looked as comfortable as Kaminsky does coming for the ball. He's coming for the ball, commanding his box, and he's making top draw saves. And I think, just to mention for Nyembe as well, I think someone mentioned before, everyone's always moaned about his end product. Well, today he got the end product and he got us the goal. So I think 2 big performances there from Nyembe and Kaminsky.
Yeah, definitely love for Kaminsky on here. We've had Dan Woods, Kaminsky with the rock star emoji. Yeah, we love Kaminsky, don't we? He's great. And then Stand and Stare, Thomas Kaminsky and Wharton both did well today. So we'll possibly talk about Wharton in a moment, Stand and Stare. Chris Hayes, Kaminsky man of the match by a mile. Eugene Sheehy, Kaminsky makes a big difference. And Sean Fox, Kaminsky is an absolute stud. We're a different side with him in the team. Yes, we are, definitely. Jacob, anyone else stand out for you today, or are you just going to underline Thomas Kaminsky's performance today?
I could just repeat what Glenn said, but there won't be much point in that. But no, Ryan Ayambi was great today. Like just got mentioned, he did look a bit nervy in the first half as they were pushing the fullback so hard, and there were a couple of times he did give the ball away. But for that assist, he out-muscles a man who's got definitely at least 4 or 5 inches on him. He powers through him and then puts in a great ball to Armstrong, and then obviously it's just rifled into the net. But you just love to see that, and I honestly don't think there's anyone who this season he's gone one-on-one against and has managed to out-muscle him off the ball or not let him get past him. It's just so great to see that. And he also created the Sam Gallagher goal because he put that ball into the box and it was deflected out, and then Sam Gallagher obviously half volleys it into the bottom corner. So for both goals today, you can link both of them back to Ryan Nyembe, and I just hope to God we do keep him because he is our best right back. I know there was questions of whether Joe Rankin Costello is better there, but in my mind, there's no doubt Ryan Nyembe can do both aspects of the game, and I do question Rankin Costello's defensive abilities at times this season.
There's some love for Ryan Nyembe in the comments. Josh Hill, Ryan Nyembe, our BBS hero. Alexander Haven, Ryan Tyson, Nyembe, Ellis Dixon, Nyembe, man of the match for me. So certainly some love for Nyembe there. And just to underline Kaminsky as well, Luke Kimberley, great keepers win games. We've been crying out for a Kaminsky, steadies the ship. Yeah, he does. It all comes from the back there, doesn't it, Luke? So, Alex, are you going to be underlining Nyembe and Kaminsky's performance, or is there anyone else that you want to pick out for some praise today?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Jacob and Glenn have just said. I'm actually going to praise Tony Mowbray here. Just hold it. I'm going to say that he got his subs absolutely spot on today. I thought Bradley Johnson, when he came on, changed the game. I thought we controlled the match just a lot better when he came on. And I think in light of Jacob saying that he would have probably started him ahead of Tribal, in retrospect, I would have to agree with that. That was probably the better option, reflecting on that now, because I think he, I do admit when I'm wrong. He provided that, what would I call it? I think in the first half, there just wasn't enough bite in the midfield. And I think he just provides that extra bite that was lacking. I think other players that played well, Gallagher once again came on and got the goal. And this is one I will take credit for. I wouldn't have dropped him today. And I think to me, Gallagher looks motivated. When at times last season, I think he's probably looked a bit frustrated and his body language might have been questioned slightly, I think. But I think in the last week at least, he looks extremely determined. And I think he's probably been a bit cheesed off today with being dropped. And that mentality to come on and really force the issue and prove to the manager why you were wrong to drop me and get that goal with a pretty good finish, I thought, from outside the box, was really encouraging for me because obviously, Armstrong gets his 13th league goal of the season and we need to start spreading those goals around a bit more. So, yeah, really impressive. I think another player that hasn't been mentioned is Scott Wharton, who unfortunately went off with a head injury. I thought up until that point he was pretty solid again at the back, did what he had to do pretty well. And obviously, I think we'll go on to just talk about our ridiculous injuries. But yeah, I've probably just highlighted, I think, 2 or 3 players that haven't been mentioned so far pretty briefly. And I think that other than that, I don't think anyone else really stood out for me, above and beyond.
I think the thing that I agree with you on, Alex, and again, this is testament to Mowbray, is just the players who are coming on and making a difference. That's 3 games in a row now where the subs have made a difference. Not just Gallagher, not just Johnson. It was Dolan in midweek, for example. And I think this is where Mowbray does need to take the credit. We've probably all, either criticised or commented on his management style, how he builds that changing room and everyone's got an equal say in it. And he does, he likes to chop and change and all of that stuff. Well, actually, we've got a squad of players now that when they're being thrown in, when they're coming on, they are all coming on and making a difference now. And I really like that. Johnson coming on, as you say, change that midfield. Gallagher coming on and getting the goal. That's exactly what we want to see. And I do just think back to those seasons where I said it last week, when you're bringing on players like Hope Akpan or Liam Feeney, Chris Brown, stuff like that, it doesn't make a difference.
Ryan, we were that bad that Hope Akpan started.
Yeah, well, quite. But do you know what I mean? We've got players now who are wanting to come on and make a difference. Bradley Johnson's looking at that today and going, no, I'm getting my place back in the side for Millwall. Yeah. Sam Gallagher's coming on and going, right, I'm going to show this 17-year-old on the right wing who's the boss here. So I love it, absolutely love it. And I think Mowbray takes the credit for that. Glenn, I don't usually like doing this, but, we've got to give Barnsley their credit today. They can count themselves very unlucky. Rovers had particularly a poor first half. Second half, we were a little bit better. And then obviously the end of the game, not so great for us. Is there anyone today who you didn't feel played so well or struggled to impact on the game?
I don't think I can single anybody out specifically, but I think there were a lot of sixes. There were a lot of players that weren't they didn't do anything massively wrong. They didn't do anything to concede or anything like that, but they didn't step it up to a 7 or an 8. There's a few sixes, the likes of, I thought Holtby was off it a little bit today. I think they marshalled him quite well. Rothwell just looked like he wanted to get booked from early in the first half. He was flying into challenges, which is great, but not what we needed late on. So I think, Tommy Kay is obviously going to get man of the match, but I think there are a lot of players who 6, kind of fair to middling. But as I say, no one with too big an impact on the game with that 6.
Yeah. Jacob, just looking at the comments, Ryan Lambert's commented here, Holtby struggled to influence the game today, too many sideways passes. Is Holtby someone that you'd put in that 6 out of 10 territory that Glenn's just outlined there? Is that the type of performance Holtby had, or do you think he played a little bit better?
I probably would have to agree. I couldn't really tell you anything he did off the top of my head, to be honest. Nothing memorable, but I also couldn't tell you anything he did bad during the game. So that probably just sums up today's performance. Just a bang average game, really. And, it's not always a bad thing, to be honest. If you don't remember anything from a player from the game, it means they've just had a decent performance and haven't done anything to, piss you off, I guess. But no, yeah, I think Holtby has to be in this middle 3. He's by far the best passer of the ball, and in that role, we need someone who is the passer of the ball, who can get people in behind and make the midfield tick, basically. But I don't know. I think a lot of people are saying, too many backwards and sideways passes. I would have to agree that there were a lot of times, especially in that first half, where we just looked lost and we were just getting to the halfway line, then turning around and passing it back to defenders. And that's something I just absolutely hate to see. And because then it'll just get passed between Wharton and Lenny, and then it'll just get punted, and then it's out of play for a goal kick. And I find nothing more infuriating. But they did so well in the first half to basically give us no other choice but to do that. But then the second half, we didn't see much of that. And the second half is obviously where we played really well, and we ended up getting the win, obviously.
Yeah. And Stephen Thompson, Holtby outstanding in the Preston game, average game today, credit to Barnsley. Yeah, particularly, where Holtby was finding himself in the game, that area was pretty high pressed. So, Holtby did struggle in that regard. Alex, before we came live, we did chat about Hayden Carter, and there is a few comments. Alexander Haben, Carter looked out of his depth, should have blocked the cross for the goal. The others have to press more defensively, block shots like what Wharton had been doing. And then we also had Sean Fox. Bell looked much worse when Wharton went off. Carter looked like a deer in headlights. Think he showed last season that he's not ready for this level, and that hasn't changed. So I don't want to focus on Carter as a player. I think where I want to focus, Hayden Carter being involved, it's the injuries again, isn't it? Carter sat on that bench 85 minutes in, or whenever Wharton got injured. I can't remember what it was, 70-something minutes. He's probably thinking he's not going to come on. And then to see Wharton go down, is he mentally ready? Is he mentally prepared? And let's face it, he's 5th or 6th choice centre-back, isn't he? So it is just as Sean describes, isn't it? He's just not ready for this level yet. And when we do get those bodies back, he probably needs a loan spell out, doesn't he?
Sean's right. He's not ready for this level, and he did look like a deer in the headlights. But there is no shame in that. He's a young guy. He's got virtually no experience. I mean, you look at Scott Wharton, who is deemed to be like one of the lesser experienced of our defenders. He's had 3 full seasons in League Two. He's had a lot of first team games under his belt, a lot of physical, hard fought games, men's games under his belt. It's miles different going from the 23s, which is pretty soft, pretty soft-centred, to then come into the Championship. It's a different game altogether, completely different game. I don't want to criticise Carter today, but I think when he came on, it did change the game, and he wasn't physically prepared. And then, obviously, you look back at the back end of last season at Luton when he had 2 own goals, and he needs a loan spell away, doesn't he? And he needs to get some games under his belt like Scott Wharton has. Scott Wharton has done it the hard way. He's gone away. He's gone to some pretty unfashionable clubs, and he's got experience. And Hayden Carter needs to do the same. It's only recently that who was it that went to Fylde, the midfielder whose name escapes me. I'm having a bad one here, but you know exactly who I mean.
Brian.
Yeah, exactly. Carter needs a spell like that, really, just to get some games under his belt. But I think, once again, the elephant in the room, injuries. I don't really know when it's going to end. It seems like it's a never-ending stream of injuries. We get one back, another one falls down. It's I don't know what you guys think, but I think there's a point where you have to start questioning the training regime and some of the things that are being done at the training ground, because this amount of injuries is just ridiculous. And not only that, but there are similar type of injuries as well, like Douglas, on the stretch from the cross, and he pulls what looks like the back of his thigh. It's very concerning to me, and I think there's definitely some investigating that needs to be done, because it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah. And I think, just going back to Carter, I think that's why I'm so relieved at full time, because, Mads Andersen, for example, seemed to be winning everything in our box and being a real handful. And I could just see it, just with the final few minutes, Andersen gets a run on Carter and it's 2-2. So I think that's why I'm so relieved at full time, because, again, it's not a slight on Carter. It's not a criticism of him, 5th, 6th choice centre-back. Big game for anyone. So I'm really relieved, and relieved for Carter as well that he's not come on and, been associated with that, losing 2 goals as well. So really, really relieved win there. Just picking up some of the comments that we have had then. Stand and stare, Wharton's loans have made the difference. Yeah, they absolutely have, particularly as as Alex said, just getting that game time at League Two in particular, where you're going to be coming up against some big strikers. Eugene Shee, tough for Carter to jump in and deal with that situation. Yeah, I think that's the spirit of why we've raised Hayden Carter's performance here. Just, it was really tough for him to come into that, particularly with who Barnsley had throwing into that box. Ryan Lambert, a tough game for any inexperienced defender to come into. I personally wouldn't pass any judgment. Then I think I'll just pick up Sean Fox's comment here. Any indication of the seriousness of the Douglas and Wharton injuries? Barry Douglas, unless anyone's going to tell me whether Rich Sharp or anyone's tweeted, I've not heard anything yet. Scott Wharton, I'm hoping it's just a case of he either lost consciousness or slightly concussed, and hopefully he's back for Wednesday. If not, then we've got to hope that Williams and Ayala are back. And yeah, Ryan Lambert, Wharton shouldn't be a long one out. Okay, so I'm going to move us on then, Glenn, just to break down the talking points of the game then, if we can. We've spoken first half that really we just weathered a huge storm of pressure and pressing without too many chances from what I recall. It's an odd one, and I think at half-time we had something daft like 68% possession as well, so a bit of a strange one at half-time to feel like we'd been battered without the stats or anything showing it. But the real turning point, wasn't it, was Armstrong, who just had that chance previously where he hit it straight at the keeper. Next time around, you're the championship top scorer. Bang, you're 1-0 up at half-time. That's just the turning point right there, isn't it?
Yeah, I think with Armstrong at the minute, he looks like scoring every time he gets the ball. I mean, the first chance he had, you're kind of shocked that he doesn't put it away. There was just something today, and I'm probably going to hate myself for saying this in the second half. We were counter-attacking, you think, there's something inevitable about this result. And like I remember when we got promoted from the Championship the last time, there was some games we were going through the motions and we were getting victories. I just felt there was an element of that today. And getting that goal from Armstrong was key. Like for me, a lot of teams come against us, and Barnsley didn't do it today, but they'll sit back and they'll defend. And we have a lot of that going sideways and backwards. Getting that goal is key. It opens teams up. They've then got to come on to you a bit more. They leave gaps. It is key. I'm struggling for talking points for today, but I think that first goal is a good one. It's just right before half time again, completely changes the team talk. It's brilliant. Mowbray can go in, give him a bit of a rollicking, but with the sugar coating of but we're 1-0 up. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Definitely. And Jacob, Joe, Rovers Analytics from the Rovers Chat site, did, suggest in our group chat that actually just before the Rovers goal was the spell that Barnsley had a bit more possession. And I don't know what shifted in the game, but it just felt like the press wasn't happening and Barnsley were having a bit more of the ball. And we were in that third of the pitch. Armstrong had his first chance, then Armstrong had his second chance. Did you see that shift in the game? Did you see Barnsley just change the way that they were playing, which ultimately led to that goal?
I didn't realise until Joe mentioned it, but I mean, it's no surprise that yet again, when we just have meaningless possession, and like I've already talked about, we're just passing it round the back, passing it to our full-back, and then it goes back to the centre-back, so it just ends up with Tribal or Holtby, and then it goes back. We don't do anything with it, and then it'll just end up being a punt upfield and a hopeful punt that Armstrong manages to get in behind. But it's a punt from Darrell Lenihan, what barely ever comes off because he isn't particularly good at it, but he seems to think he is. But no, it doesn't come as a surprise at all, but it just seems like we persist with having the ball. Like Joe's mentioned many times this season, if we have extreme amounts of the ball, like we saw against Preston, Wickham, and I can't remember the other game. I think it was Coventry. I think we had extreme amounts of possession in those games. And we obviously went on to beat all those teams quite convincingly. But if we're in the high 50s, low 60s, we just look lost. We look lost for ideas. We can't find any options. Everyone's being pressured on the ball like we saw today. And, that's where mistakes were coming when Bell and Nyembe were being pressed. And then the amount of chances Barnsley had in that first half, it was just a good job we were playing a team that doesn't have much quality, because they could have quite easily been 2-3-0 up with some of the chances they were having, but they just were going way wide, or they were just tame shots. And we were just lucky we were up against a below average side today. But no, it doesn't come as a surprise at all. We're obviously better on the counter. We're definitely better without the ball. but because of the nature of playing at home against a weaker side, we are going to have more of the ball, and it just doesn't suit us, unfortunately.
I'm just going to pause proceedings slightly here because we've got some legendary company in the live stream. We've got Andy Simcox from yesterday's On the Other Side and the Red All Over YouTube channel, who's come in. Congratulations on your 2-1 victory, lads. I predicted accurately, brackets sadly. Flipping Adam, good luck for the season. Andy, great for you to have joined us. So keep commenting if you're going to watch till the end. You were fantastic company for Rovers Chat yesterday. And I think your colleague at the Red All Over channel, Alan Smith, congratulations on the victory. Well deserved. We didn't create much in the final third. You kept Woodrow quiet, plus Mowat was inconspicuous. Hashtag Red All Over. Alan, there's a lot of Rovers fans saying that we didn't deserve that victory, actually. Yes, you didn't have too many chances in the first half when you felt like you were more on top, but actually, fair play to Barnsley today. You gave us a really good game. It's the game that we thought with you pressing high. So we've been mightily impressed with Barnsley. And if you play like that, you're going to be nowhere near relegation this season. So thanks both for joining us and stay tuned. And if there are any other Barnsley fans, do follow them on the Red All Over YouTube channel as well. So, who did I just ask that question to? Jacob. It's I'm coming on to you then, Alex. I completely lost my train of thought there. Just a comment here that we've had from Michael Pearson. Armstrong scoring goals out of nothing reminds me of Shearer back in the day. Quiet game, then a rocket. Goals change games. If we think back over the years with Rovers, been quite lucky with the likes of Jordan Rhodes, Alan Shearer, Santa Cruz, McCarthy, players like that. In recent years, it's been Bradley Dack from that midfield area. Danny Graham did get quite a few goals for Rovers, but just felt less clinical than Armstrong. We've got a gem of a striker here, haven't we? That if we are thinking of playoffs, it is the games like this where it's the difference maker. That's when you get into the playoffs, when someone can just turn it like that.
I think we've spoken, haven't we? In the past, what is the bit of gold dust that we need to get this team into the top six? And I think it's a 25-goal season striker, and it looks like we've found one in our back pocket somehow. I think with Armstrong, he reminds me a bit of Jordan Rhodes, but I think he's got far more to his all-round game. His ability to play on the shoulder of the last defender, his ability to stretch teams back. I always felt under Gary Bowyer, we always had to make games pretty even, 50-50, because we couldn't stretch the games out because of our lack of pace in the forward areas. It was always like we had to invite teams onto us. Armstrong is a completely different style of striker, but he's getting the same sort of goals return that Rhodes used to get. And obviously, unfortunately, I'm too young to have seen Alan Shearer. It's my life's biggest regret that I'm not 15 years older, but there you go. I think on Andy's comment about Barnsley, I would just say to them, you were the most ambitious side to come to Ewood this season. You're the only side to come to Ewood and actually give us a proper game, actually go toe-to-toe with us. So all credit to you for that. And there's absolutely no way that if you carry on playing like that, that you'll be relegated. There's far many worse teams than you in this division. So all credit to you. And we'll see you at Orkwell later in the season.
Yeah. Glenn, just moving on to the second half then. The game did feel to shift second half away from that Barnsley press and making it difficult for us. We just felt a bit more comfortable second half. However, you've referenced it with who your man of the match was. Absolutely top draw save from Kaminsky at 1-0 that, kept Rovers in the game in that sense, didn't it? Because that could have easily petered out to 1-1 if it wasn't for that save. I think it was Mads Anderson's free header at the back post. What a save that was.
Yeah, I think as well, I'm a goalkeeper myself, and I think it's just, he's not really done anything all game. He's had one save to make in the first half. He's not been peppered with shots, yet he's still got that kind of goalkeeper's instinct to shuffle across, get his hand up and tip it over. And that's the sign of a brilliant keeper for me. Do nothing for kind of 20 minutes, half an hour, and then still be able to produce the goods like that. That's top drawer for me. For me, is one of the missing pieces. A keeper that's our own. He's not on loan. We own him. He's with us to stay. and look how good he is at the minute. He's as I say, I was Wharton's biggest critic last season, so this is like Christmas for me. Having a goalkeeper that he's good and commanding is fantastic. He'll potentially win us more points than he'll lose us, definitely.
And just, I didn't realise you were a keeper, Glenn, so I'm going to just ask you a completely unrelated second question then. What's your view on Ainsley Pears? Because I actually like that we've got a keeper that's got some minutes and someone that we can develop. You know, are you a fan of Pears, and is that a good sign?
Yeah, I think I've got a friend who lives in America, and he sees the scoreline, and I think it was Pears' first game. Was it the Reading game when he conceded so many? Yeah, I don't think he could do anything about any of the shots. And then he comes along and he gets a clean sheet, and you made up for him. Yeah, I think Percy's a good number 2 as well. That's a good kind of position to be in. That said, when Tommy Kay's name's on that team sheet, you feel a bit reassured. If Percy's there, maybe not so much. I think he's got a little bit of a standing now as Kaminsky. He's got that position, and you feel safe in his hands, so to speak, once he's playing in goal.
Yeah. Jacob, so I'm going to take us forward in the game a little bit. So Rovers get a corner, Scott Wharton goes off injured, Hayden Carter comes on, and you're thinking 1-0 up. Oh God, this is going to be a really nervy 15 minutes. Up steps Sam Gallagher. What a lovely finish that was into the corner. You know, how pleased were you for Gallagher scoring a goal like that as well today?
No, it was a beautiful finish, and I don't even think he thought he'd gone in at first because his celebration was a bit late, weren't it? But no, it was a beautiful goal, the way it curved in on the half volley. And like I said, credit to Ryan Nyembe again for driving and forcing the deflection that went out to him. But no, he's been nothing short of brilliant, hasn't he, the past 3 games? He rescued us a point against Luton. He started the downfall of Preston, obviously, getting the penalty and the sending off. And today he's come on and won us the game because obviously we needed that second goal. And no, I do honestly think he has to start next game. And it pains me to say it, but I think he is going to have to start on the right wing. But I just think he has to at this point. No, it's been brilliant, hasn't it? And I feel like he needs to be starting now when he's got this confidence, much like Ben Brereton, when Ben Brereton's had this run of games and he's got the confidence now and he looks like no one's stopping him and he looks a shadow of his former self. And it's the same for Sam Gallagher. And I know Joe's mentioned a few times that Sam Gallagher has one of the best goals to minute ratios in the Championship or something along those lines, because obviously he's always coming on as a substitute, but the amount of goals he does nick for us, but I think it goes under the radar a bit, but I think he's starting to show it a bit now, and I'm really, really glad it's coming into fruition that our 2 big money signings are finally paying off, and that's what we'll need this season if we are going to make the playoffs for sure.
And Alex, we all had Sam Gallagher in our sides, I think, pre-match, and Elliott started over Gallagher, you know, and there was no complaints from us in that regard. Elliott is class. If we go true to Mowbray's form, last week Gallagher scored against Luton and then started the next game against Preston. It was Elliott on the bench. Could you see Mowbray doing that again on Tuesday to reward Gallagher again?
Yes, I think my concern with Gallagher on Tuesday, and it's not so much the way he's playing in the form he's in at the minute, it's more the style of play that Millwall will come to Ewood with. No one needs to look at any analysis of Millwall. We know exactly how they're going to play. You know, they're draw specialists this season. I think they've drawn 7 or 8 games already. So we know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to come to Ewood. They're going to sit deep, as they always do, and they're going to hit it long to the big strikers and try and get some joy off the knockdowns. And I just wonder whether that long ball to Gallagher on the right wing is really the best tactic to play Millwall. I think they'd relish us playing a long game on Wednesday night, And I don't know whether that pace and trickery of Harvey Elliott, a bit like a Bradley Dack, is something that you might need to maybe unlock that tight defence. But again, you have to look at it as a matter of equity and fairness. And I don't think the manager can, in all good conscience, after dropping him today, in my opinion, quite harshly, I don't think he can turn around and drop him again for the next game, in my opinion. So I do think he will start, but I'm not sure it's the best approach to play Millwall and win. The only thing I would say is, to Ryan's Hall of Fame comment, in the past that I forgot to mention earlier. Do you think if we sell Armstrong in January, that he will be sold for £10 million? Yes or no?
Well, I've got to stand by it, haven't I? He's not signing a new contract, so yeah, I'm going to stand by it. 10 million when it happens. Come and talk to me when it's 10 million. I'm just going to bury it deeper.
Maybe for his right foot.
Yeah, no, it's going to be more than 10 million, isn't it? But we do still need to have him on a longer contract, I think, for it to be more than 10 million. I am just saying that. I'm just going to pick up some of the comments, Alex, just in support of some of what you said there. So on Gallagher, stand and stare. Gally played well. He's definitely building momentum. Alexander Haben, Gallagher's strike was quality. Keep it up, Big Sam. You can do it. Dan Woods said when we signed him that Gallagher was a natural finisher, but it's the other aspects of his game that aren't up to scratch. And then Michael Pearson, in agreement with what you said there, Alex, skill is the best way to get at Millwall. Just going to pick up the comment here from Stand and Stare as well. Does anyone feel that Elliott must play 90% clause is a bit of an albatross around our necks? This is an interesting one because, yeah, in theory, if Elliott's not playing well and he's not affecting games, and if we just consider the last 3 games, really, you know, Elliott, I think he played okay against Luton and he chipped that ball into Barry Douglas, didn't he? But I think first half he was fairly quiet against Luton. The Preston game, he spent most of it on the bench and then got injured when he's come on. And then today, I think he had another quiet game, and I think that was the right change to make. And Gallagher has come on and scored the goal. I think what I'd like to hope there is, Stand and Stare, is that there are Liverpool people watching our games, and I think we do have that close relationship with them, so that Mowbray can just rightly say, look, here's the impact that Elliott's having, here's how Rovers are playing, here's the subs coming on, we're within our rights to do that. I hope there's that dialogue. But Glenn, is that a concern for you that if there is that type of clause, that either we're not going to get the right Harvey Elliott, or even worse, he'll get recalled to Liverpool, and then when we do need him, we haven't got him?
I think I'll start by saying it's a bit ironic. Klopp needs one of his players to play so many minutes at the minute, given his comments in the interview today. But
I've not watched that yet.
It's worth a watch. But I think, it doesn't seem right that another club's kind of imposing our starting 11, basically. So if he has got a 90% play kind of clause in there, that can't be right, surely, because it's dictating kind of like one position on your team. Some games won't be suited for him. For example, I'm talking about Millwall. I think Gallagher would be a good option out wide because he gives you a bit of height from set pieces, which Elliott maybe doesn't. But then if he has got this clause in, Elliott's got to play, it might not be suited to him. I'm not too keen on that kind of thing. It's kind of, if you come on loan, it's on our terms, and we will play him as much as possible because he's obviously a fantastic footballer. He's got great potential. But I'm not too happy about the sort of 90% clause. And it is to our detriment rather than to our benefit, I think.
And just to pick up comments here, Sean Fox, does that 90% have to be starts, or can it be coming off the bench? I think if I don't know what the clause is, but if I'm interpreting how we've had Harvey Elliott in our side to date, my feeling is it starts, because we all had Sam Gallagher in our sides pre-match because we thought that Gallagher deserved to play, and obviously Mowbray's played Elliott. So my interpretation is it's 90% starts. Michael Pearson, Liverpool could recall him at this rate, and then Ryan Lambert, Elliott quiet because Lenihan and Wharton had 99% of our possession between them. Oh, that's brilliant. It did feel like that in the first half, especially. There was a lot of that knocking it about, wasn't there? So Jacob, we're just going to do a little nod into the next game today. The way that we have sat in, ground out the result, not gone one down, won ugly, all those types of things we've been talking about. It's kind of a good warm-up for the Millwall game, isn't it? Knowing that we've done that, and knowing that we've got Johnson and Gallagher, for example, that can come in and bring that physicality. Are you feeling like this result will give the Rovers players some real big confidence going into that Millwall game on Wednesday?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if we'd have got a draw today, I feel like that would have obviously made the Millwall game a must-win at that point, and I wouldn't have wanted the Millwall game to be a must-win because I'll be honest, I would be happy taking a point against Millwall at home because they are that horrible sort of team that you don't want to play. But we did beat them last season at home, so there's no reason why we can't do it again. And realistically, do have to be beating them at home, but I don't think anyone would complain about a point. Whereas obviously today, if it had been a point, I think there would have been more than reason to complain. But just to go back to the Elliott point, I think something that people may be forgetting. I know he did have a quiet game today, to be fair to him, but he did put Ryan Nyembe through for that assist for Armstrong's goal. It was a nice ball over the top. So I wouldn't say he was didn't have any impact on the game today by any means, but I do understand that maybe Gallagher does deserve to get in over him at this point.
I mean, it's a lovely problem to have and a lovely discussion for us to all be having, isn't it? It's nice to be talking in these terms. And I think you're right, actually, about Elliot Jacob, because he did it on Tuesday night against Preston as well. He was the one that set Brereton away, wasn't he, for when he then crossed it across for Dolan. So I think Elliot is doing that kind of pass before the assist type contribution as well. So, it's just maybe it's because he just came in and just... And I think it's maybe the journey he's had. If we think how the season started, you've got Tyrese Dolan that just absolutely flew out of the blocks. And then Elliot came in and just raised it another level. And that's where Elliot took his performances. And maybe he's just come down a couple of notches, which is still good for the record. It's just not that impact that he had when he first came in. Alex, based on today's result, is there anything concerning you about Wednesday night or anything that you're thinking we're going to have to address to get the victory against Millwall?
We need a functioning centre-half partnership against Millwall. That is the basis for everything. If we go into Wednesday night with Lenihan and Carter at the back, I would not be confident at all against Millwall. Just really a side that bases its whole game on that physicality, that lumping the ball up to the big striker. We really can't afford to be going in with Carter at the back for the full 90 minutes. So we really need to see if we can patch up Wharton to get him back for Wednesday. And if not, maybe see if we can get Ayala in. And I think really that is the main concern. I agree with Jacob. There isn't ultimate pressure on this game to win. I think we go into every home game expecting or wanting to win and having the ambition to win. I don't think you go into any home game in this league thinking, oh God, we're not aiming to win this game. Of course we are. And we actually have a decent record against Millwall over the years at home, especially. So if we play it the right way, I think we can get a result against Millwall and a pretty good result as well. But yeah, if Carter's in there, I'm much less confident. And that isn't a knock on Carter. That's not me, insulting Carter and saying he's a terrible player. It's just a fact of life that he doesn't have the experience, the know-how, and the physicality and the attributes to deal with what we will have to deal with on Wednesday. And as I said before, he needs to go away and bulk up and get some experience in League Two, because that's how Wharton's improved.
And Glenn, I think it was Sam Allardyce who was probably the biggest manager that used to break up the season into portions and say, right, here's a block of games to try and get some points from, then move on to this block, then move on to that block. So I'm looking at our fixtures here. So it's Millwall at home, then it's followed by 3 really tough games. Brentford away, Bristol City away, then Norwich at home, then it's Rotherham at home after that. So this Millwall game, looking at those next 3 afterwards, it is an important one. If we want to keep up that momentum and keep up that points record, to stay in touch within this 12-game block. The Millwall game, regardless of the result today, probably was a bit of a must-win already, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think looking ahead to the fixtures that are to come, you look, the Millwall's the most winnable out of those before Rotherham, really, isn't it? And you kind of look at it and think, we can't rest on the laurels. Yeah, we've won 2 in a row on the back of a point. It'd be brilliant to make that 3 in a row. Get that momentum going. We're 2 points off playoffs at the minute. Results go away. You never know. Midweek, we could be tipping into those playoffs. And I think winning breeds winning, doesn't it? We should be going out. Let's get the 3 points and let's keep pushing. Because, like you say, you don't know how that run's going to change if it is broken up into blocks. We go to Brentford. We've got Norwich. Quite soon, you've got Mowbray on the back of potentially a defeat, and it's all doom and gloom again. So I think it is a massive opportunity for 3 points midweek. And I think just to touch on the kind of the Carter comment is Wharton looked massively out of depth at Watford when he came on, and then the next 2 games he's looked brilliant. He's looked like he's played there for years. So I think there is an element of, like you said, he's come off the bench with 5 minutes to go. He'd never have come off the bench if there wasn't an injury. A few days prepping for a game. he might be a different player. But I'd also potentially look at moving Nyembe to centre half if we're struggling, and maybe putting Down in at right back or something like that. But yeah, let's go for the win on Wednesday. Positivity. Let's all good.
Definitely. And just to pick up a comment here from Sean Fox, Mowbray seems to think that Wharton will be good for Wednesday. Douglas is apparently a glute, not a hamstring. And he's, I'm presuming that's a typo, slotted in for a scan maybe. No outlook either way from Mowbray on it. So probably looks like Douglas might miss Wednesday night. Just reading into that just feels like one that Mowbray wouldn't risk. So Jacob, if it is, I'm not singling out Amari Bell here, but if it is Amari Bell, if Wharton's touch and go and we don't have Williams and Ayala, we've got Ryan Nyembe wrapped up in cotton wool, and then Darragh Lenihan, of course, as well. We started today talking about actually we've got a few options in defence. Against Millwall, we've gone back to it's the only 4 that we've got available, haven't we?
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? And I mean, like Alex said, I think before, questions do need to start maybe being asked now, because I think it was you, Ryan, who mentioned it a few games back, whether is it down to just poor luck and the run of games we're having, or is it something maybe to do with the physios and the training and stuff like that? And no, it is starting to get concerning now, isn't it? But it's one after the other. But obviously, it is so demanding on these players, and I'm just so happy that this 5-sub rule has come in. Else it would have been even worse for us. But no, I do think obviously Bell's going to have to be played on Wednesday. What doesn't fill me with confidence, because he's not a very physical player at all. And defensively, he's nowhere near as good as Douglas, in my opinion, anyway. And offensively, he's half the player Douglas is. And if Carter does have to play, then I just can't see how we win that game, because I can't see us keeping a clean sheet at all with Carter and Bell having to play together. But hopefully, Ayala or Williams comes in for the game, and then I would be a lot more confident then.
Yeah. And Rovers fans, we'll end this stream in about 5 minutes. So if there's any other questions that you've got for us before we finish, do pop them in the comments box and we will pick them up and, discuss them. Alex, I'm just going to pick up an interesting one here from Michael Pearson, which I hadn't actually, just digested until just now. We could end up going to Brentford and they've got, 2,000 fans under the Tier 2 rules. Could that be pretty interesting, or could it work against Brentford slightly, given that it's a new stadium that they've never played at before? The fans have never been there before. Will it go in Brentford's favour if they did have fans in there?
This is a really interesting one, and I think it's a debate that football really needs to have. We've been harping on for so long about COVID is it's affected clubs and clubs are at risk of going bankrupt. And then when fans are allowed back in by the government, some people are mourning that it's ruining the integrity of the competition. So I don't really think they can win either way. I think, as you've just said, Ryan, London's in Tier 2, so Brentford will be allowed 2,000 fans in. And in fact, won't that be their first ever home game at their new stadium that the fans have been allowed in? So that is an interesting dynamic, actually. No away fans at all. I think it does raise the level of expectation, because I think, that factor of thinking, well, it's only our fans in the ground. Surely Brentford will be thinking, well, we have to win this game, or there's a greater pressure to win this game, certainly. I think, unfortunately for Rovers and just the whole politics surrounding Blackburn with Darwin, I can't see us being near the front of the queue to be the next ones to have fans let into the ground. I think unfortunately, we'll probably be one of the last clubs in the end to have fans back in. But yeah, this is more of a political thing, and obviously I don't want to get into all of that. But yeah, I'm of the opinion that football is half of the sport it is without the fans, and even if it is only Brentford fans within the game, I would actually quite enjoy watching the game on the stream and actually just hearing some crowd noise in the background, actually hearing some proper crowd noise. I don't know about you, but I've kind of been fed up of watching these live streams, and it's just, you can hear a penny drop and you can hear the rain It's. I mean, you could hear the rain today almost. It was that silent at Ewood. So, yeah, I don't think we can call for the fans to return and then mourn when they do. So, yeah, if anything, it should be a motivating factor for us. And I just thought we use it like that. And it puts extra pressure on Brentford to attack us, because that would obviously give us a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, and we've got a few more questions coming in, so thank you everyone for the questions coming in. But just Ryan Lambert, in response to what you said there, Alex, I'd be more concerned about our centre-back troubles dealing with Ivan Toney rather than the fans. Glenn, I'm going to ask you Eugene's question here. Is Brereton coming close to needing some rest sooner before he picks up an injury? Now, we've just chewed over the fact, is it Elliott or is it Gallagher? Actually, Brereton's the only one that started every game, and I think he's pretty much played 90 minutes in every game. So actually, could that be the change that Mowbray makes on Wednesday night? Have Gallagher on the left, Elliott on the right, and Armstrong up top?
Yeah, I saw that question come through as well, and he is all action, is Brereton, at the minute. I think someone commented this afternoon, he's chasing the ball around, he's up and down. He's not kind of one of those players that gets a break during the game. He seems to be involved all the time, but it's a dilemma for Mowbray because he is playing so well. I would say behind Kaminsky and Armstrong, he's probably the next name on the team sheet at the minute. If he does get dropped, he can feel hard done to. But yeah, I think looking at the wider picture, injury-wise, we're tempting fate a little bit, aren't we? My big concerns are kind of Kaminsky, Armstrong, Brereton. You lose them for any amount of time, and all of a sudden you start kind of thinking leaking goals at one end potentially and not scoring them at the other. So I think there is an element like taking him off for the last half hour, perhaps when a game's won, things like that. But yeah, I think that might not be a bad shout midweek, maybe changing Brereton, having Elliott come in, or even Dolan maybe. And and it won't be something potentially that Millwall are expecting, which could work in our favour as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's a cracking question, Eugene. I hadn't actually, absorbed that in my head that could be the thing to do. And if I just think about Mowbray and making his life easier as well, telling Sam Gallagher that you're not starting after scoring, he can solve himself a problem right there if he swaps in with Brereton rather than Elliott. And it also solves that Liverpool dilemma as well, doesn't it? So Jacob, another question that we've had in from Leap Year Man here. Is Kaminsky our second most important player now behind Adam Armstrong?
Yeah, I think so. I think some of the two saves today, the one off the corner and the one that went to his to the left post, weren't it? And he just parried. He just managed to get a hand to it rather. No, two phenomenal saves and very David Raya-esque, the one off the corner, weren't it? Just a reflex save, and it was just brilliant. It had me off my seat, and it was almost like scoring a goal. They were that good of a save, and that those two go in, which you could argue Christian Wharton or Ainsley Pears may have let in, and it's 3-2 at the end of today. And I definitely do think at this point in time he has proven that he's our most important player. And I said it on the pre-match, but since he's come back into the side after that Borough 0-0, what was the last time Pears featured? This is the third goal he's conceded today in what would be, I think that's 5 games. One of them's a penalty. Like I said, I don't think it should have been a penalty. The fluky goal at Luton, and today it's another bit of a fluky goal. It gets deflected out to the Barnsley man, and he does actually get a hand to it, but it still goes in, unfortunately. And I did feel really bad for him because he'd worked so hard for that clean sheet. But a lot of that could be put down to Carter because he were a bit poor, to be honest, letting the man get the shot away in the first place.
Yeah, and just a couple of things in response there, Jacob. Alexander Haben, Kaminsky not at fault for the goal, and Leap Year Man, if Wharton had been playing today, we wouldn't have won. Agreed. I do agree, Leap Year Man. I think the bit that where Kaminsky's won the game is when it's 1-0 and he makes that save. That game then goes to 1-1, and then who knows what happens at that point. It gives Barnsley a bit of confidence. They might go on and win the game 2-1. So it's that save from Mads Andersen, which is the real big one, which I'm not sure Wharton would have made that save, and 1-1 is a different game completely. Alex, I'm going to give you the final question from Ryan Lambert. Mowbray's savvy signings making the difference. All players mentions have been brought in by Mowbray. The long-term plan coming to fruition. So I'm going to add on a little element here, we've also spoken about the contract situation at the club. So his long-term plan is coming to fruition, isn't it? But it only becomes a long-term plan if we achieve the ultimate goal and we don't start losing these players when the contracts aren't signed, doesn't it?
Exactly. In football, you can talk about grand plans and, good squads. Ultimately, the only way for it all to come together at the end of it is to get promotion, because otherwise, in the summer, at the minimum, we will be fielding bids for several of our key players, and that is just the territory of playing well in this league. I mean, the only time we've not had bids come in for our players was when we were in the relegation zone under Coyle. So that gives you an indication of, if you're successful in this league, all the clubs will be cutting your players. That is normal. I think, to respond to the comment about Mowbray signing all of the players, well, he has been here nearly 4 years. So I would have thought that most of the players here would have been brought in by him. For a start, I'd have been a bit concerned if he hadn't. I think with Kaminsky, yeah. Would it be classed as an even bigger bargain than Bradley Dack? 450,000, was it? That is that's an incredibly modest fee in the current market, and I think in the current climate, just with transfer fees inflating what it seems like by 10% every transfer window, that I thought it was an unbelievable achievement to get somebody in with that pedigree, that had Europa League experience, had fallen out of favour at his current club, so was available for a cut price fee, and was willing to kind of take the plunge and come to a different country, and all of the background knowledge that goes into that, like, does he speak good English, which he almost certainly does, and just talking on the phone with the player, all of that background stuff that goes into recruitment that we're not really aware of, or that we don't really, I'll hit on myself for this. We don't appreciate that during the transfer window. All of that effort and work that goes on behind the scenes. So yeah, for all of this to work and for all these grand plans to come together, ultimately there needs to be a sign of success at the end of it. And I think we would all agree that this is the crucial season in Mowbray's tenure for me. This is the make or break season. You imagine we don't go up this season. The squad breaks up in the summer. Mowbray has a big rebuilding job to do. It doesn't go very well, and then he's sacked the following autumn. That this has happened at other clubs before. This is the key season for Mowbray now. We've consolidated in the Championship for 2 seasons. You don't have that excuse anymore of, we're just new to the league. If we are going to do it, it's got to be this season, or it won't be ever, I'm afraid. This is the best chance we will have.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with Boyer, obviously.
Yeah, there's certainly some echoes to that. So there's quite a lot in response to what we've just discussed there with the questions. So just on the Ben Brereton needing a rest, Alexander Haben could be the way to go. Brereton will need a rest. Michael Pearson, keep Brereton playing till his fitness goes. He's too influential and he loves playing, as he said recently. Leap year man, Gallagher currently showing the form to enable any of the forward players to have a rest. Yeah, that's absolutely true. If any of those 3 needed a rest, we've got good confidence in Gallagher now. Then if we move on to what you were saying about Kaminsky, Alex, Kaminsky is our Schmeichel, Alexander Haben. Barfly coach, I'm never a fan of a lone keeper being your number 1. Then there is a little bit of discussion about whether Adam Armstrong is going to go in January. So the question was from Luke Howard. Do you think Armstrong will leave in January? Then Leap Year Man, West Ham apparently sniffing around Armour again. Ryan Lambert, we've not back bids for Dak. Can see us doing the same this January for Armour. Scott Taylor, no, Armstrong won't leave. So Glenn, Armstrong is a player that has been associated with Mowbray for quite a long time, at previous clubs and things like that. Armstrong doesn't strike me as the type of person, particularly with the relationship he's got with Mowbray, that would be pushing for that move. Do you think that if Rovers were going to sell an asset, it would possibly be Dak rather than Armstrong, and we might just try and keep Armstrong in that sense?
That's a question. I think Dak I think we'll be safe for January with Dak because he's not playing again yet. I think that fitness is a big issue with that injury. Teams won't want to be spending what we want to sell him for, given the injury. Armstrong, I think we might benefit from the fact that he's been at the Newcastles before and he's not really had a chance. He's kind of been around a Premier League team, not been afforded the chance. But he does suit that Premier League way of playing. My concern with Dak is, and why I think we might keep him, is he's a bit of a luxury player. The kind of mid to bottom side of the table teams in the Premiership won't be looking to bring a number 10 in, that sort of player. They'll be looking for a big striker to get them the goals, which is where Armstrong is a bit more of a worry. Like you said, 10 million would be a bargain for someone now if they picked him up for that much. I think I do wish he'd slow down scoring somewhat, especially around January. But I do hope that, like you say, he's got that relationship with Mowbray. He's never scored this many goals before, and he is bearing the fruits of that relationship. So fingers crossed he's not on his way in January.
For the record, I hope I'm wrong with the 10 million for Adam Armstrong. So I hope that doesn't come
You're
through.
definitely wrong.
Good. I hope I am. So we're going to end the stream really shortly. I'm just going to do a nice comedy question that we had a little bit before, Jacob, if you can find it, from Josh Hill. Does Ryan Nyembe deserve a knighthood? So I'm just going to do a quick yes or no from everyone. Glenn, does Ryan Nyembe deserve a knighthood?
Absolutely. Yeah. Can't question that.
Josh. God. Jacob, I'm losing the plot. Jacob, does Ryan Ayambi deserve a knighthood?
Well, Josh is actually one of my housemates, and he knows how much I love him, so I think he already knows my answer. But yeah, Sir Ryan Nyembe does sound good, especially if he signs an extension with us.
Alex,
If Nyambe's getting knighted, then I think we need to discuss it for about 10 other players, don't we?
quite possibly.
Where's Armstrong and Dak in all this? Do they not get the day out at the Palace as well? Or is that?
If knighting Ryan Nyembe is going to keep his hamstrings and overall injury record through to January, then yeah, get him knighted tomorrow, because that is making me extremely anxious over these next few games. And I think it might be the first time in Nyambe's career that he will have played this run of games, so that is one I am watching like a hawk. So
it'd be just our luck. It'd be just our luck if he bent down for the knighthood and pulled a hamstring as he goes down on the 1 knee.
You can see it now, can't you? You can see it, honestly. I don't know what minute it was today. What was it, 15, 20 minutes in, just after the Douglas injury or whenever it was. I was just like, please, no. But yeah, pray for Ryan. Let's get him knighted. Let's get him through to January when we've got players back, and we'll not have that conversation anymore. So that's it, Rovers fans. Thank you for joining us on the post-match stream. We've had a blast as usual. It's always great having a chat after Rovers win, and yeah, we're in a nice little run of form now. So 11 points from 15, 5 games unbeaten. And nicely rising the table. What was it, 9th? I think we are in the table now, and 3 points off the playoffs. So we're going in the right direction. It feels good. So long may that continue through these games, thick and fast. So if you're not following us on Twitter, Rovers fans, it's Rovers_chat. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rovers Chat, so that you get the notifications of when we are live, both pre and post-match. We've got all of our other content, like the 1875 podcast, which is about to land, isn't it, Alex, that podcast?
It should be landing over the next couple of days, I would have thought. So yeah, look out for that on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. And we've got on the other side, as usual, Jacob's been doing some videos with Howard. We've got Stats Show with Andy. So we've got loads of stuff going on Rovers YouTube channel. And of course, all of the stuff we do on the website as well. Glenn, you do a lot of writing for the website, don't you? So loads of stuff for Rovers fans to get their teeth stuck into. The only way to stay up to date with it all is to subscribe on YouTube and is to follow us on Twitter so you can see it all come. So thanks, everyone, for joining us. Glenn, thank you for making your debut. Hopefully we'll have you back post-match again sometime.
Cheers, I enjoyed that. Yeah, it was brilliant. Always good after a win.
It is indeed. And Alex, thanks for joining us again, mate. You nearly were the bad man of Rovers Chat, but no. 2-1, you're lucky man.
I've been the bad man for like months now. I don't know. It's not just today. I think, yeah, obviously it's really good to be on here after a win. And obviously looking forward to being back online on Wednesday, I think, hopefully, if I'm let back on.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. And Jacob, thanks for doing everything behind the scenes today, mate. It does make it flow a lot easier when I'm not having to multitask. No one wants to see that. Just ask the missus. I can't multitask. So thank you for doing the controls.
Most men can't, but I haven't done too bad of a job this time compared to last time. And I'm gutted that we didn't see a reappearance of Glenn's cat.
He's currently climbing the Christmas tree upstairs, so he's staying out of harm's way.
Glenn, we're going to finish with a comment from Kevin Bradshaw. Glenn's off to find his last name. So it's Entwistle, is it? Have I pronounced that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There we go. So before we run the advert, please remember 6yardsout.com have got 3 for 2 on mugs. Buy 2 mugs, get a third free. So go and check them out with the advert that is to follow. Bye, everyone.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.